Hello, welcome back to the crypt. So today we're doing a breakdown of all the conventions we went to last fall because I could finally start doing that again, and I've been really far behind on telling anyone about it. So we went to a total of 3. So there was some larger anime convention here in Milwaukee. It wasn't necessarily a lot for me to see it there, at least, relevant to our horror channel here. And then there was a small one, I don't even know the name of it, that they do every few months. So there was something cool there. And then the big one that most of this video is going to be about is I went to Milwaukee's, as I mix my words up, sorry. I went to Milwaukee's relatively new, I think, second ever dedicated horror convention that was held in the fall. And in a couple weeks, it'll be back. So they're making it a bi-yearly event. So I'll have a video on how that experience goes. But let's just jump in. So the first convention, so this was the anime-specific one. There's not a whole lot to talk about other than I got to meet the voice of Cell, and this was maybe the closest we could get to, pardon my ring light, a piece of horror art from there that would fit our collection. So because I was always like a DBZ fan, and Cell Stage 1's entire introduction was such like a great like horror character introduction. Like I was happy he had this piece of art, and I got to meet him and have him sign it, and he was fun. So Damian Clark. And then for the second Milwaukee convention, so this was a complete surprise to see, because they usually have like Power Rangers or like people from TV there, not necessarily movies or. Usually, I'm not there for the guests. I'm just looking at comics. But this time we had, so I think Candace Rose, she played the mom in Halloween Ends, which I'm sure somebody is going to complain, oh, I hated Halloween Ends. Like, I thought it was really good. I like Halloween Ends, and I will defend it against you. Yes, you. So, and she was really fun to meet and talk with. So I got a print, and she also had these, which are canvas printed. This is like the teaser poster where it just says Ends, which I cannot seem to successfully uncurl. And she had these printed on like this kind of canvas paper, or I think this is actually just straight canvas. But yep, she signed it for me too. But so I just figured it was worth mentioning because I don't know, it's an interesting approach to having a print of something, like material-wise. Not quite sure where it'll go. Well, maybe it could go there. But I had a great time talking with her and hearing a couple of production stories, and I even found out about the David Gordon Green trilogy making of book, which I later picked up from somewhere. So apparently she's kind of a local too, so which surprised me. I would think, oh, you live in LA, but you know, apparently during that period, especially, all the auditions were by video, and she lives somewhere like 40 minutes south of me. So that was just a neat digression. But now, so the MKE Horror Convention, I had the first one they held. I unfortunately had to miss it because I just had no resources. And when it came around again in the fall, I had thought it was going to be a once-a-year thing, and so I was completely unprepared. Like, I found out about this, I want to say 2 or 3 days before the event was actually held, so I had to really scramble to get there. So it was pretty easy to get to, actually. It was only like 15 minutes away. Like, I was able to Uber there without bankrupting myself. So, and I even got like the VIP pass, which, I'm not really sure what all that came with, now that I think about it. I think I got like a poster or something. But, well, they did have posters and shirts. Unfortunately, I was not able to pick up a shirt. So I guess it didn't come with... Oh, now I remember. The VIP came with attending the VIP after party, where you got to hang out with some of the celebrities at the bar, and that was really fun. So there was actually a pretty good variety of people there from different stuff. See, we had the kind of low-key villain of Saw 2. We had Lisa Wilcox. We had Miko Hughes. God help me, I Tommy Hudson? No. Well, I got Tommy Jarvis' signature, and so I'll remember his real name, but there he is too, because he's also in Return of the Living Dead. So Ken Foree was there, that was pretty cool. Christine Elise. We had one of the Toxies. We had a nurse from Silent Hill. So my memory of the event is better, I promise. So, but it was really quite cool, and I had a little too much fun in the vendor hall, I think. But also, note to self for later: get the poster first, and then have the guests sign it, because I got this as they were closing shop, and then somebody pitched that idea, and it was like, why didn't I think of that? So it would have been great, but you know, instead we bought quite a lot of prints from people. So the first ones I'm going to show off here are from just some. I think it looks like I got 3 vendor prints, so we're going to go through those. So the first was from, I want to actually try and promote some of these people because they were pretty cool. So this was from No Buddies, like No Buddies Trinkets. They have an Instagram. So, and I really just liked this. I mean, it's a little cartoony, but I do like just like Jason's mask, just kind of abandoned, washed up on the lake. Like I could picture it. Like I have in my bathroom, I have this really nice print of Jason just kind of walking around in nature, like during the daytime, and this feels complementary to that. So, I really like this piece of art. I'm gonna also plug her little thing here. If the camera will ever focus, good Lord God. There we go, see? I used to have a bunch of stickers from all the conventions I went to in the late 2010s on my laptop, but unfortunately, due to a mistake, when they repaired it a few years ago, they threw out the plate with everything I had collected from not only these pop culture, conventions, but stuff like C2E2 or Anime Milwaukee, but also science conventions I had been to, things that were professionally important to me. So I started picking up stickers to try and sort of rebuild that. So I got one of just, the mask by the lakeshore. And another neat thing she had were little post-it note quick sketches. So these were only $1. And she made a really nice Chucky and Tiffany, I think in about maybe 20 minutes. Like it was kind of cool to watch her just like blast those out. So I have a few small spaces that those would fit really well in. And then this was from J. Allen Hansen, jaybird.bigcartel. So this was kind of a warped like Slash from Ninja Turtles. So Slash was always one of my favorite characters, and this design is kind of more what they used for like his action figure, with the purple weapons and gear. But I thought it was really cool, and I'm gonna put that in another one of my limited small spaces. I know you're thinking, why not just put it somewhere there? That is the air intake. I can't put anything on that. Unfortunately, we've tried. And then one of the cooler ones, this came from somebody, Goof Gore, like Goof Gore. Oh, hopefully it doesn't pick up the code or whatever. But my bathroom also, for the art prints in there, has sort of a nautical, Cthulhu, old gods sort of theme, as well as just, maritime stuff. and this felt like a really good complement to that, as I try really hard not to get the glare. But this, like, kind of melted Davy Jones sort of thing. So, I don't know, something about it was really spoke to me. So, and she was great to talk to as well. So, that was another cool thing about this. Everybody I interacted with was awesome. Like, I didn't have any bad experiences at this. So, and this may not count, and I wish I could remember his name because we talked for a while, and he was also great. So, the guy who played Frank the rabbit from Donnie Darko was there, and when I helped him pick up his table, and this was just like he was testing markers on this, and he was like, "Yeah, just take it." So I'm counting it. And then so Christina Lees. So I got to meet her, and she was great. And I'm going to end up saying they were great a lot. Sorry. But so I picked this print because I thought it was really dignified. This is like the wrap photo from the Chucky TV show. And she was like, "Oh, I put quotes on it. Like, you can pick one." And I was like, "How about Playtime's over with like the cast wrap photo?" And she felt that was a cool idea too. So also, if somehow she is seeing this, thank you for telling me the hotel Wi-Fi password, because I was really frustrated with it. And I actually didn't realize who she was at first. Like, I was just standing in the hallway trying to get reception, like about to start cursing at my phone in public. And this lady with a wine glass was like, "Oh, here's the password." I was like, "Thank you," and it worked. And then when I went to her table later, it's like, "Oh, hey, it's you." Oh, Thom Matthews. How did I forget your name, Thom Matthews? So I got a Friday the 13th the game print from him. And I sort of wish I had maybe had the foresight to bring some of my Return of the Living Dead stuff, because from backing Never Hike Alone 2, I do have his signature on some posters and stuff already. So it would have been maybe brought a little bit more variety, but at the same time, I don't really have stuff on the wall for F13 the game, and so I liked this promo shot that they made, like I always did. So happy to have something we can put up on the wall. And I got to meet Lou Temple as well, and he put like a pretty long quote on there. "I saw what you did back there, Hewitt. Now don't make me use this. Drop the saw." And he was one of the more fun people to talk with. I mean, we talked about, apparently Lou Temple does voice work now. And we talked about he was doing some voices in, I think it's Nyan of the Living Cat. Or it was a Night of the Living Dead thing with cats. It was very anime concept-y. It was weird. But, we talked about that. We talked about the stuff he was in. I was kind of jokingly like, "Oh yeah, you're a guy who dies in the Rob Zombie movies." And he was a good sport about that. And he's like, "Yeah, that's pretty much what I do." And I had a great time, meeting him. And he hung out at the bar later too. And we got to just, hear him tell people stories. So, and then one of the more, I think probably the biggest surprise for people that I met was Alex Armbruster. I kept trying to call him Alex Armbuster. I'm probably still getting it wrong. But, so, the stuntman who played John Carver in Eli Roth's Thanksgiving, which at first I was kind of like, oh, like I thought you were, I didn't like the movie so much, but I thought you were pretty awesome. And we got to talking, and, well, this ended up with me hanging out at his table for like 45 minutes, and we traded like weightlifting tips. So he was so cool to talk with. Like, I went to one of his panels where he was talking about getting started doing in stunts. And he was like a skateboarder, that he would talk about stuff he did on the trampoline, and it was just really interesting life, interesting guy. So, and yeah, I genuinely enjoyed meeting him quite a lot. So, and he even drew a little axe. So, although there was kind of a funny snafu, like when we put the print in this thing, um, we were kind of doing it in a hurry, and a lot of the ink like stuck to the inside of this, so he had to we had to take it out, and he actually had to retouch it a little bit, which is why the signature is a little with. Uh, but he does have a pretty nice signature when it's not messed up from my incompetence. Also, if you're going to a convention, these 11 by 8 top loaders, or if you can find them, 11 by 17 top loaders, bring some of your own, because I was lucky that there was a booth selling them for like $5 a piece, which actually I think it was more like 10, but it's not a bad idea. Actually, maybe next time there's a convention, if somebody else isn't doing it already, maybe I'll just, order some big top loaders from Ultra Pro and set up shop. And then it's going to take me a minute to remember this guy's name. Jason Paul Collum. So this guy was in the filmmaker section. And apparently he was involved with... Well, he was involved with Slumber Party Massacre 2. And just a bunch of different, like, kind of Scream Queen, like, slasher era stuff. And so he had a bunch of articles in this magazine. He had a few copies of just some of the writing he had done, and like he had a bunch of different magazines and books. Like he has a book that I need to pick up, just kind of about the period where this kind of movie was in its heyday. And he was really great to talk to about filmmaking. And so before I put this up on the wall, I'm going to read through the entire thing, which sometimes takes a while, but I mean, I don't know if you can see I have Cinefantastique with Freddy up there, so I'm going to get that framed similarly. And if I recall correctly, he was also doing, he had done like some special feature interviews for some of this stuff. So I think he said he was on the original Shout Factory Slumber Party Massacres in interviews. So I need to dive back into that. So, we met so many cool people. Oh, and so in order to manage my loot box, I had to leave out probably the most substantial thing I picked up there. So, Ken Forey was there, and he had these amazing prints for Dawn of the Dead, which I hope you can see it, because I can't see my camera like this. And so this was actually pretty affordable. Sort of funny, he didn't know the size on these when I asked, because I was trying to figure out, like, okay, well, how would I display it? Because you have Ken Forey sign, like, a poster print like this for you. You're going to want to put it up. And I ended up having to, like, I bought one, and then I came home and I measured it, and it it kind of bugged me enough that I wrote a Post-it note, and so for the next day of the convention, I was like, hey, I measured the poster, and so they are roughly 23 and like 7/8 by 16, and I think it was like 16 3/4. It was cut in a very bizarre size, and he actually, I thought at first I was like, oh no, I'm being annoying. And then he was like, oh, I didn't know they were actually, he actually did not know the size, and he did say thank you. So I hope I wasn't annoying, but, hey, we were helpful. Like, he did actually, like, pocket the Post-it notes with the posters, so I don't think it was just, oh, I'm being nice to you, clearly autistic man. So, And now we are going into our swag for the rest of the event. So there were people selling movies at booths, and actually one of my local friends, he has enough stuff at his house that he just had a booth. So this is mostly stuff I picked up from him. I also grabbed some things from, actually I think it's kind of about half and half, so I think 3 or 4 of these are from him, and then the rest are from the TerraVision booth, which was fantastic. Like, I spent maybe a little too much time hanging out with the TerraVision booth guy. Like when I met Alex, when I was talking with Alex Armbruster, he had one of the stunt-used John Carver masks, because one of the things he was doing was he was appearing in costume for like an hour that evening, and I spent so much time talking to TerraVision booth guy that I actually missed that. So we're gonna have to pay better attention to the schedule. But so from TerraVision, we got... Oh, actually, addendum to John Paul Cullen. So I got this documentary he made, Screaming in High Heels. That's what we talked about. So the rise and fall of the Scream Queen era. And so, let's see, featuring David the Kyoto, Jay Richardson, Richard Gabby, Ken Hall, Ted Newsom, and Fred Olen Ray, who was the only name I immediately recognized because of the crazy things Fred Olen Ray gets involved with. But so, yeah, he made this in 2011, and it seemed like this was maybe the only way to get this was from him. So I am looking forward to seeing that. But anyway, from the TerraVision booth, let me make sure that... yeah, I don't think that. Yeah. Okay, so from the TerraVision booth, we got a few different... they had some Vinegar Syndrome titles there, but I guess they had parted ways with Vinegar Syndrome. But I mostly used this as an opportunity to pick up stuff that I'd heard of. So we got the Out There Halloween Mega Tape, which is, I think, technically WNUF Halloween Special 2. It was a little unclear. Oh, yeah, it is WNUF 2. So, because they gave it like a different kind of title, it confused me. But, so I was a huge fan of the first WNUF, and I think I still know the guys who created it on their social media. So I'm going to let them know that I finally was able to afford to pick up their new movie. So, and I think they actually had mock-ups of like the Out There tape as well, but I didn't have a way to play that, or there was some reason I didn't pick one up. But so, really kind of a hotly anticipated title for me. And then there was, Copperhead, the Snake movie. I like how it clarifies, so it's going to be good. And I really have no clue what this is about, beyond being a killer reptile movie, which that's my specialty. So I'm looking forward to just learning about that. There is quite a lot of stuff on here, though. I mean, we got a handful of interviews, but we also got 3 commentaries. Cruelty-free version of the film, shot on video. Okay, so this is likely from the era then where, 1983. Oh, damn, there are 2 more commentaries. So this has 5 commentaries, jeez. If you're a horror fan, you know that they actually did kill a snake on camera on the first Friday the 13th, and this would have been pretty close in time period. So the fact that it has a feature called a cruelty-free version makes me wonder if maybe they did the same thing in here, because there used to be very abysmal rules for filming with animals. So, and then Frogman, which I had seen people talk about this on social media, and I was excited for it. But let's see. So this is the Loveland Frogman. Oh, this is gonna be so good. Uh, I'm excited. Like, I'm sure it'll be ridiculous, but at the same time, And then going through what we picked up from our buddy's booth. So this is a Vinegar Syndrome title I had wanted for a long time, and every Vinegar Syndrome sale, back when the channel was more active, this was always something that was in my cart, and it was always something I had to cut. And so I got this from my friend, and it even came with the slipcover. So Unmasked Part 25. From what I understand, some sort of Leslie Vernon style, like, slasher kind of thing. So, biting horror comedy. And what year is this from? 88. Okay. As I'm reading the description. But I'm looking forward to finally seeing this after all this time. And Berserker, I think I picked this up largely just because it was a Vinegar Syndrome title with the slip. So he had like a big shelf of stuff that he was flipping, and I think what I did was I actually just read the synopses for some of these. So, a group of friends set on a camping trip. You know, supposedly the recent killings, supposedly the result of a bear. You know, don't deter the campers, but they find themselves terrorized and ripped apart by a large and violent bear. But is it actually a bear? And so it's a slasher, and I mean, that synopsis sounds promising already. Like, I just eat shit like that up. And then Frightmare, which I think I might have had at some point. I might have had a different release of this. So it sounded really familiar. So slasher tropes. So this reads kind of, reading the synopsis, this seems kind of like it would be like Fade to Black, which I did really enjoy Fade to Black. So we'll see what this has to offer. But I've heard people talk about this one. So again, kind of high expectations, and being able to get it with the slipcover too. So because I personally prefer having the slipcover. I mean, yeah, there is a factor of it adds resale value if you're, scalping on eBay. But for me, it's like having a book that comes with a dust jacket without the dust jacket. Like, it bothers me if I know there's supposed to be a slipcover or some kind of special packaging on the title, and I don't have it. Like, there's nothing out there without the slipcover, and I almost bought the movie a second time at a higher price just to have the slipcover, because I'm a maniac. Paganini Horror by Luigi Cozzi. So, elusive Italian shocker from the producer of Zombie, The Beyond, and Killer Crocodile, like all things that I love. Does the plot necessarily matter? It's going to be insane. Like, I can just tell. So, a 19th century composer said to have sold his soul to the devil will unleash a skin-tight spandex nightmare of extreme violins, cheesy power ballads, Suspiria-influenced lighting, and outlandish satanic havoc called Serious Fun, drips with as much love as it does with blood and gore. Oh, this has Donald Pleasance. Yeah, so it's been so long since I've gotten into this box because I've been waiting to make this video for you guys that I've kind of forgotten what all I picked up. So I'm exploring with you guys. See, we're authentic on this channel. That's why everything is so poorly and hastily made. And then got Shot Factory's The Final Tear as the last Blu-ray in our little box. So I saw this on Shudder, and I really liked it. Like, I think I saw it on Joe Bob. And so when I saw the disc, it was like, yep, that's coming with me. Because the original reason I was collecting was so that I could watch the extras and learn more about the movies that I enjoyed. Uh, and this was a callback to that, where it's like, oh wait, this has a commentary and interviews on it. Yes, you know. So I tend to not even bother with titles that don't have extras on it. But I was talking about the TerraVision booth earlier, and so I also, from the TerraVision booth, because they are a record label now, so the first thing I picked up from them was a re-release of Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Shocking Truth, which is the soundtrack to the Shocking Truth documentary. And I had actually bought this from someplace called Pure Destructive Records a long time ago. I think it was like my third vinyl I'd ever purchased. And that was a company that was kind of trying to get off the ground. And according to everybody I've talked to, it turned out to be more of a scam than anything. Like he just took people's money and completely disappeared. I do have an actual vinyl from it, though. They did send me the thing I had paid for. It just took, I don't know, maybe 9 more months than it was supposed to. But so, according to TerraVision Booth Guy, they remastered it. They worked really closely with the composer, who had been kind of left twisting in the wind by Pure Destruction Guy. And they were able to put out an even better version of it. And I think there might even be a couple new tracks on this. So, recut, remastered. Expanded score available for the first time. Well, not about first time. Featuring new art by Gary Poulin, which, you know, it looked familiar. He's a great horror artist. I have his little biography thing over on my shelf. And then the big thing I picked up, they didn't have just their titles, they had other label titles too. So the Waxwork Chainsaw Massacre game soundtrack, which, you know, I love that game. It's great. I just wish that Gunn hadn't ditched it so soon. But, so yeah, I'm happy to have some merch from it, because when it was most active, I was only able to play because it was on Game Pass. And then after it left Game Pass, it was very difficult to find the money to just buy my own copy. But, I mean, we're past all that now. Another thing it comes with, too, is there is also this little extra thing called Remains, which I think... So the Chainsaw Massacre game, its teaser was like an active like photo game. It was kind of a prequel game. It was very short. It was like 10 minutes, where you play as the girl who goes missing, and that's the impetus for like her friends to try and come find her and kick off the events of the game. You walk around as her, taking pictures of flowers and just, you know, nature, before you're eventually, you know, ambushed and abducted by the Chainsaw family. And I think Remains is the music from that little project. So when I open it up eventually, I'll let you know. And now we move on to the other stuff that we got at this con. So there was, well, even though it wasn't like in a really big place, there was still quite a lot to look at. So the first thing I picked up was, I didn't even know they had made this. So Dead by Daylight has several unique Ghostface masks and outfits. And this is a licensed one of Dead by Daylight's designs for the Arctic Ghostface, where he's got, you know, black stuff coming out of his eyes, and he's just stabbed through with icicles. And somebody had this at their booth for, I think it was like $15, which is like the normal price for it. And it was like, okay, yeah, I'll take that, because I'm so starved for Dead by Daylight merchandise. And for some reason, it smells very strongly of like vanilla candles. It's weird. And then at a different booth, this is yet another Dead by Daylight Ghostface mask, because they licensed from Fun World, not from anybody affiliated with Scream. So they're able to get away with doing lots and lots of different masks. So this was the Viper Ghost face mask. So this was another pickup from somebody there. I don't remember who. And now we get into some of our... So there were a lot of people with like 3D printed things. And, oh, there's even more stuff in here than I remembered. Dang. So, oh, that's really big. So, well, there was a couple different booths with sort of 3D printed figures. And I really liked this NES Jason. Because that's my favorite color scheme. That's why my custom mask is this color. And, you know, for a 3D printed thing, I thought it actually looked pretty good. I'm trying to trick my camera into focusing on it. So, it's actually pretty slick and kind of metallic. So, and I've been obsessed with the NES Jason look for a long time, but it is... After the 13th game like got shut down, like there was a brief period before the Friday the 13th game and a little bit into the Friday the 13th game where you could find like pops and figures of Retro Jason, but that dried up pretty quickly. So it was just nice seeing something for the character, that version of the character again. And then I think I went back to the same guy, because this is in the same kind of box. Oh, I almost forgot. So I also got some pins from that Goof Gore lady, and I really liked this snail with like a pump using a jack-o'-lantern for a shell. It looks kind of like almost like a melted... It's like a melted candle is the snail body. I think it was... I don't know, it's just really cool to me. So, like, what a creative idea. But anyway, so this is another figure that I got from the Retro Jason guy. And, so, remember how I said that I've been needing to make this video since September? I think this was supposed to be a Christmas present for my brother. I'm sure he doesn't watch me, it'll be fun. But we got a Terrifier 3 art with an axe. So, and, like, yes, this is 3D printed. It's got enough detail in it. It doesn't really look 3D printed, though. Like, it's kind of professionally made feeling. So, I know NECA is working on a Terrifier 3 figure, but who knows when that'll actually be out. So, we got him in the meantime. So, plus those were also pretty affordable. So, speaking of more 3D printing, so there was a Necronomicon. Initially, I was going to use this for dice, so I wanted one with compartments. As you know, I play a lot of games that use stuff like that. However, I kind of changed my mind and had a different idea, and so unfortunately it has that divider in there, so it doesn't work for what I had in mind, but you know, it's still a pretty nice little box. Even though it's 3D printed, it's pretty sturdy. And yeah, I'm just gonna put stuff in it. And then there were a few people with just kind of like home decor sort of things. So I got a couple coasters. I didn't want to get ones that you were just like, oh, that's okay, or whatever. So these were like the two best ones I think they had. So mine was just smashing through that mirror, which I thought was a door up until right now, seeing it on camera. And then just this, you know, art hanging out in the chair. I think that's from one of the... It's from one of the posters, I think, for the first Terrifier. So, but yeah, they're pretty sturdy, cork back. You know. And I do sometimes need toasters, so... This was from Saints and Skulls. So this was This is an in a violent nature pin. Come on, like, deglarify. So I'm gonna probably start ramping up my pin collection because there are so many cool pins that you can get, and I even found like a nice case I can put stuff in. But I really loved In a Violent Nature, and that was the first merch I had seen for it, so I'm glad to have it. So, and I even got a sticker from from his booth. So I think he might actually be local to this area, like here in Milwaukee. I'm not sure. And then, who is in this bag? Oh, no. Huh. So I just had like a bunch of stuff kind of fall out at me. So one moment. Oh. So there was some lady with a booth of crochet stuff, which she didn't strike me really as like a dedicated horror person, but she did have, appropriately themed things there. And she had these little crochet spiders, which I got sucked in so fast. It's relatively anatomically correct, and something about it is just absurdly like appealing. It's so cute. And I had a kind of girlfriend who used to crochet, so it kind of gave me some good memories too. So I was happy to pick this up from Crochet Lady's booth. And I wonder if I have her card here. Oh. Well, there's a big pile of cards which we're going to go through here. So this is one of the movies they were playing at the film fest, which I was so busy in the vendor halls and everything that I kind of completely forgot to go to the film fest. So I got a pin for the HorrorCon. So it's a pretty good looking pin. What else is this? Oh, I also got a sticker for the slash print, again for the PC. So I think we got some stickers from this guy, KK Art, which is actually pretty close by to me. It's another local artist. Let's flip through here. Yeah, I think these were from KK Art. So, welcome to Valentine Bluffs. He had like big metal signs of this one. So, for My Bloody Valentine. And then he had this Ghostface one from Scary Movie, which I just, I love this. It's so good. He's like, using that gag. And then I can't remember who did this one. So this was done, I guess, as a promo for Nightmare Weekend. I don't remember who I got this from, but it's pretty great. So I don't remember where this is from either. So it's a disgusting clown. Slash You podcast was one of the people I talked to at booths. They do a show. It sounded pretty cool. So, it looks like I got a spare sticker stuck there. Oh, Blackie Cat Creations, I guess, is who's responsible for the little spider. So, I don't know, maybe go pay them a visit. Cryptic Requiem Creations. Is that who? Yep. So, my next one that I'm going to show is from these guys, Cryptic Requiem. And they actually they're like a bone salvaging artist. And so what I got from them was I got a little bag of rattlesnake vertebra because, I do have my biology scientist background, and specializing in reptiles, or at least heavily interested in reptiles. And so I do have a scientific collection of specimens of like alligator bones and things like that. And so, ooh, rattlesnake vertebra. Like I was excited, like nerd wise, for that. And I also got some rattlesnake ribs, which, so just in a bag like this, these were still a little, these were much more affordable, because usually it's jewelry kind of like this that she makes. So these are rattlesnake ribs in like a little vial that you attach to a chain. And I was mainly interested in having the vertebrae as specimens for the specimen collection. So I have actually my own glass tubes that I'm going to put those in. And so one of the people doing jewelry, I think this was, who are you? The jewelry junkie, I guess. So I really liked this keychain, which I'm holding backwards like an idiot. So it feels like this would, it feels like the machete would break, but I'm gonna put that on something else and just kind of keep the mask. So it's pretty high quality actually, and it says handmade, which, I mean, if it's handmade, then wow, you are really good at this. But I mean, either way, like I really like them, and I sometimes just kind of put things like this. You know, I can't turn the camera without ruining my whole setup, but I have keychains up on my desk set up like this, and so this is going to be part of my displays and stuff. So, making our way back to the celebrities that we met. So Lisa Wilcox was there, and I actually had my friend who crochets had made me a thready themed snake, because that was one of the things that she would crochet. Actually, I will go get that real quick. So for day 2 of the event, I was walking around with this thing, and so Lisa Wilcox was like, "I've never seen one of those," and we got to talking, and so she actually wanted a picture of it because she was like, "I'm going to show that to Robert." And so he even comes with his own glove, which she styled like a, my friend styled as a Stegosaurus thagomizer. So, you know, this Lisa Wilcox was impressed by this, and really, so was kind of everybody else. So every time I bring this to a convention, it's a huge crowd pleaser. And I really hope, if my friend is watching, that she makes more of these and puts them on her Etsy, because he's so popular. But anyway, from Lisa Wilcox, I got maybe one of the more unique things that I've seen a celebrity selling. So somebody makes little, let's see, Homemade Horror is the company. So, because from the main movie Alice is in, when she goes and fights Freddy using like all of her friends' like powers and skills, she has these nunchucks, and so this guy makes nunchucks for her, like to sell at her booth. So they are really really cool, and they weren't like super expensive either. They were, I think they were only like 10, 15, something like that. It's a pretty good deal, and it's a pretty unique thing to get from, you know, an actual actor at a booth. Wow, I think there's a pretty strong magnet on each one of these because you can like separate them, I think. Or, oh, that's how it works. Okay. Yeah, so see in the middle, it's got that thing. So this separates out. So I bet I can just like attach these right to my desk. Oh yeah. Yeah, you heard, I bet you heard that. So they're pretty cool. I wish I could have afforded a print or something. But, next time, Lisa Wilcox, I promise. We're almost at the end of our little thing here. Okay, so what's this? This is another small bag with like a bunch of things in it. So this was from Jay Hansen, Minnesota watercolor artist. That's what his card says. So, and it's this really nice kind of anatomical octopus sort of thing. So this is also kind of part of the science collection sort of thing that I like to do. And I cannot unscrew the picture with the ring light. Come on. Well, you saw it. You can pause if you want to. Yeah, it's really well done. So it's going to be for my pin collection too. And then somebody kind of casually had like more keychains and stuff, and I just liked this. jack-o'-lantern. So I think this actually glows in the dark too, or at least they said it does. So just like a black and orange pumpkin. And now I think we're in our last little bit of swag here. Oh man, there are even more cards. As soon as I picked this bag up, just stuff blasted everywhere. Oh, I went along with the clown. So, oh, come on. Beep, beep. Like the it phrase. So, I'm looking through these cards to see if I have any more memories from them. Jason Voorhees, that was not really sure what that was about. It was a kid doing a bit. He's like the Wisconsin Jason who wears a thing of cheese. He was friendly, so I was like, all right. Refinery Films. So I have cards from the guys that were in the film festival. So I felt like a bit of a jerk for missing their movies, but they had a good time. I had a good time talking with them. So Hex and Wax Candle Co. That was the candle company that had really nice, really big candles, but I was out of money at that point. So they did have a few people with like retro toys, and I got one of my old favorites, the Kenner Alien Queen, which, if you think about it, really got all of this started because collecting these with my dad in like 1990, 3, something like that, led to an interest in like all these monster movies, and I kind of owe my hobby to aliens in a way. So the card is kind of banged up. It was only like $15-20, so that's kind of another nice thing about having a connection with these is that even now they're fairly cheap. So although the card being so roughed up is probably why, but it's just kind of funny to look at this now, and then over on the shelf I have like the NECA full-scaled kind of Alien Queen. That's just so superior in every way. But there's still a spot in my heart for the old Kenner aliens. So I got a sticker for the Horcon. And then I met some authors, and I got some books. So I met Dean Lappy, a horror thriller 6,000 feet underground, 4,000 feet underground. So it's very much The Descent inspired, and so I'm looking forward to reading through that. So Dean Lappy. And then I was talking to another author, Joe Prozet, and it was like, yeah, I always want to read more, but like I don't have time. Always have time to go through like a full, singular story, like of a normal length. And he was like, well, I do have an anthology, so this is one of his anthologies. And so the idea is to try to ease back into being a regular reader by just like cranking through one of these, you know, a week or so. You're welcome for the nightmares is what he signed it for me. So how many short stories are in here? That looks like there's at least a dozen or so. Yeah. So that'll be fun to go through. And with that, oh my gosh, I think we made it through all of the stuff in our little box. So I had forgotten how many small things I had actually picked up from this con. But well, it was a great experience, and I'm looking forward to doing it again in a couple weeks. Just maybe being a little bit more tactical with the stuff I pick up. So anyway, hopefully you had a good time. I know this video was really long, but oh man, look at my face. But you know, hopefully I'll be back with another video after the new HorrorCon. And yeah, thank you for hanging out with me and listening to me ramble. So like, share, subscribe if you want. You don't have to if you don't want. But oh, and also turn on notifications for the channel so that you don't have to remember to check for my stuff, which I promise you will not be spammed. So, all right, bye everyone.